Hey guys, Lauren Oliver here, coming to you as always with your Wednesday edition of Ask Lauren Oliver. As you can tell, I'm kind of bundled up in my new apartment. Check out my wallpaper, because even though it's April, it's still freezing. What the is going on? We're gonna jump in regardless of whether I freeze to death during the filming of this video. The first question comes from Cheer Monkey XOX. Interesting name, I like it. Have you ever started to write a story about one thing, but after a while you changed the whole thing because you didn't like where it was going? Well, I mean, I've definitely started to write a book and then just stopped. Given up if when I've had an idea that really grabs me, a different idea that grips me. In fact, sometimes I feel like I have to write half of a bad book before I get to a new idea. So I don't actually just like keep the same book and switch ideas, but I'll often kind of write half of a project and then abandon it when I have another idea that really speaks to me more. So I think that's kind of normal. You know, you just have to churn through ideas before you hit on a good one. Our Roger Chow from Tumblr, as a young creative writer, I've been growing out of the stage of learn to write well and into write something that sells. Do you have any advice on this? It's not actually that good to stake your happiness and career on what you think is going to sell, because that stuff actually really changes and tends to fluctuate. I generally think that if you write something you really care about, and if you write characters that really matter to you and that you feel really invested in, it probably will end up being very good, and that means it will probably sell. You know, tons of different books end up doing well, tons of different books kind of end up selling, and then there's a ton of people who try to write a really commercial book and it doesn't really have any depth and they don't really care about it, and then they find that, you know, people don't really want to publish it. So my advice is just to really figure out why you are writing. What do you want to say? What do you have to say? What can you say that nobody else can say? And then write that. Faculty of Mental from Tumblr, this is a fun question. What are the least practical shoes you own and can we see them? Well, Faculty of Mental, I have a huge selection of shoes and none of them are very practical. Unfortunately, I still really haven't unpacked because I moved and then went straight on tour. But to give you an example, I have a huge box and I reached at random for some shoes to show you. And here are two examples I pulled out. This is a pair I wore to my friend's wedding and danced in. Hi, Jess. I had such a great time. They're about, I would say, probably 5 or 6 inches. And like I said, I mean, I did dance all night. So for me, they're quite practical. This is another pair of shoes I pulled out at random. I really love these shoes, but these are a little lower, probably like a 4-inch heel, but they have a strap that connects up your ankle, but the strap is always coming undone. So they're really not good for walking. You can only walk in them for like 2 blocks. So they're really only good if you have cabs waiting to take you everywhere, which is why I typically only wear them during BEA. If you see any links for shoes you think I'd like, feel free to send them my way. That's this week's episode of Ask Lauren Oliver, and I will see you next week. Stay warm.